Welcome to the channel. I'm Kay. Today I'm in my political feelings, so let's talk about it. Last Thursday, ahead of Kamala Harris's acceptance speech at the DNC convention, Jermaine Dupri went on a little walk and he was telling us how he was feeling about the Democratic convention so far. That was the last night of the convention. And I don't think he was prepared for all the backlash that he received from that video. He even had people like Roland Martin and a lot of prominent people responding to that video. We're going to get to that video in a second. But after he released the video, there were several people that responded. One of the videos that stood out to me was from the rapper Pliers. Now, he did not say specifically that he was responding to Jermaine Dupri's video, but from the content or context of what he was talking about or referring to, I can only draw conclusions that he was probably referencing that video. And after Plies released his video, Charlemagne the God decided to respond to Plies. So we have so many responses going on, and we're going to get into all of it. So let's take it from the top and take a look at the original video from Jermaine Dupri.
Real quick, I want to talk about the DNC. I feel like the DNC has been going amazing, but I also feel like tonight Kamala Harris has a pretty difficult job, right? And it's interesting because the Republican correspondent that's been doing the roundup after the DNC has ended, he asked the question that I kind of asked Kamala when we had our second meeting. You know, if the fact that she's in office right now, she's in the White House right now. And the guy, he said, what makes y'all believe that she's going to get this stuff done if she becomes president and she's already in the House? And it's a tricky question because I asked Kamala basically the same thing, right? In so many words. And I asked her, like, as the vice president, why they don't let her talk when, Biden seems like he needed someone to speak up for him. I thought that's what the role of the vice president was to help the president. And basically, she kind of let me know that her hands was tied, that they didn't really allow her to be a voice like that in that space. And tonight, I don't know if she's gonna, I want to see how if she even touches on this, because if she doesn't touch on it, that's the question that I feel like the people that have mixed decisions about voting for her, this is one of the questions. This is the top question that they had. And like I said, this is what the Republicans are saying. And they never heard the part about her hands being tied. And if she says something about her hands being tied, then it makes it look like the White House or the Democratic Party didn't really want her to exceed. So she can't really say her hands was tied, but she does have to step into that space. This is something I do believe.
Okay, Jermaine, first of all, having a conversation with the Vice President of the United States and then coming out and telling the world that she said privately that her hands were tied and there wasn't anything that she could do as Vice President, to me, that was done in poor taste. That conversation that you and Vice President Harris had, if you did have that conversation, should have stayed between the two of you. However, I do not believe in any way that she would tell you that her hands are tied. Vice President Harris knows the job of the vice president is a supportive role. It is not to be the president. So she is basically a very high profile, glorified assistant. You do the things that the president is asking you to do. I remember when President Obama was in office and Joe Biden was talking about their relationship. He was saying that there were a lot of things that him and President Obama did not agree on, and certain things that President Biden now was not okay with as vice president. But he said ultimately it was on President Obama to make the decision. It's the same thing here. The vice president does all of the things that the president asked them to do and the things that the president aren't able to do. Jermaine, you should know that the job of the vice president is a supportive role. She literally cannot go over the president. She can disagree with him until the cows come home, but ultimately it is President Biden's decision to do whatever it is he deems necessary for the entire country. Vice President Kamala Harris is not supposed to speak up for the president when he, quote, can't speak up for himself. I'm not understanding what that was, and if that was in regards to the debate, she couldn't debate for him. So let's be clear there. And to say that Kamala Harris was in office for almost 4 years and she didn't do anything goes back to my original point. She is the vice president. She is in a supportive role. She's basically a very high-ranking assistant. Kamala Harris has been one of the most visible vice presidents that I can remember in my lifetime. If you think about Clinton, if you think about Bush, even Mike Pence. We can go back to Mike Pence. We rarely saw Mike Pence making statements or coming out publicly with statements. Kamala Harris was out there. She was making statements. She was giving speeches. So I'm really not sure what Jermaine or anybody else thinks the role of the vice president is. Now that she is running for president, she has her own policy and her own agenda. But as far as being the vice president, she is the assistant to the president. She's a glorified assistant. That's basically what she is and what she has been doing. And I think that she has been a highly effective vice president, especially when it comes to women. So we will start there and we will stop there. And I'm going to let you listen to the response that Pliers gave, and I'll be back on the other side of this video.
Everybody who, especially the ones who look like me, and the men who look like me, who quick to, if Kamala want my vote, she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black people. Listen, stop asking a fucking black woman to explain themselves to you, or explain themselves to y'all. If y'all ain't willing to ask a man, this mother and himself. Y'all cool with the white man not explaining his to you. Oh, the she need to explain herself to me what she gonna do for the black community. She want my vote. She need to explain herself. You ain't white man explaining. You too much to ask him. Motherfucker, somebody need to explain something to y'all. Well, she been in the office already 3.5 years. Why she ain't do all the things she said she was gonna do? Cause she ain't the president. That's why. When you go to the no, that lady that's the manager, she don't get to do what the wanna do. She might can give you some but that's about it. Some free that's about all she can. She can't change the price of that or the pound up there. Oh, that Mike. That ain't that White House. She just like the you all in line. Now if you can get some other fries out every now and again, you get some other fries out. But y'all motherfucking know this. Most of y'all. But y'all just want some of the Now if she was if she was the and didn't do something, then that's a whole different ball game. And the same the mother black woman need to explain this. Y'all the same when Barack was running, he wasn't black enough for you neither. And a lot of y'all, I done figured out what y'all getting confused. Y'all don't even want black. Y'all want ignorant. That's what you want. A lot of y'all think ignorant mean black. And that's why some of you motherfuckers, because you ignorant. But I'm here to mother tell you, everybody black ain't mother ignorant. And everybody white ain't mother smart. So put that in your pipe and mother smoke it.
I will say there was a lot going on in that video, a lot of language, but his point was well taken. And this is why I am thinking that his response was to the video that Jermaine Dupri posted. I could be completely wrong, but getting back to what Plies was saying, I agree with what he's saying. The expectations for Kamala Harris, the standards for her is set at impossible. And Donald Trump could be as basic, as mediocre, as whatever as he wants to be, and nobody questions him. The rambling, the lack of policy clarity, and always saying, I'm going to release that in the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks passes, a month passes, a year passes, and we still don't have clarity on his policies. So Kamala Harris has to explain herself. She has to explain why for the last 3.5 years as vice president, she didn't get certain things done. Because she was the vice president. She is in, again, a supportive role. It is not her job as vice president to enact those things. She is literally supporting what the president wants. Kamala Harris agreed to be the vice president to Joe Biden because she believes strongly in a lot of the policies that he had. She still feels strongly about the policies that he currently has, but she believes that she can take it a step further. She thinks that more needs to be done, and that's essentially what she's trying to do. But for people, especially black men, wanting her to go above and beyond and explain herself, explain why she hadn't done things for the past 3.5 years, explain her record as a prosecutor. The list goes on and on. It's just never enough. She continually has to respond or explain herself. And I just think it's done in poor taste. And I completely agree with Plies that we set the standards for Kamala Harris and there is no standard for Donald Trump, who has been running for president for the past, 4 years now? We knew he was going to run after President Biden won in 2020. We keep attaching the standards to Kamala Harris while Donald Trump gets a free pass. He doesn't have to explain his lack of policy. Project 2025, all he said was, I don't know anything about Project 2025, and the media accepted it as, well, I guess Donald Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025. But people want to bring up Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor, and they want her to explain that after she's explained that more times than I even care to count. But let's pause there and let's hear Charlamagne the God's response to the rapper Plies' video. Take a look and I'll be back on the other side.
Plies is absolutely positively wrong. If people are asking questions, that's great. I don't even know why Plies is making this a black woman versus black man thing. This isn't about black men and black women. It's about elected officials and potential voters. The whole point of campaign season is for candidates to go out there and explain to the American people why they should be the one in charge of this country. Votes are earned, not given. And they are earned through you going out there and explaining yourself. Vice President Kamala Harris has to go out there and explain her agenda and why she's the person for the job. Former President Donald Trump has to go out there and explain his agenda and why he should be the person to get his job again, or get the job again.
But Donald Trump is being held to a different standard, Charlamagne. Nobody is asking him for details. The media touched the surface. Donald Trump could give a rambling, incoherent response to a simple question like, what is your stance on abortion? And he gives a rambling, incoherent 3-minute rant about absolutely nothing, not even addressing the question that was asked, and everybody just moves on like that's the norm. They didn't get clarity on it, but Kamala Harris has to make her policy position very clear. And they will follow up with questions about said policy. Well, she says, I want to build 3 million affordable homes. Well, who's going to pay for that? That's the follow-up question. Nobody has ever asked Donald Trump, you said that Mexico was going to pay for the wall. Mexico did not pay for the wall. What happened? Nobody has ever asked that question. Nobody has ever asked that question, and we have gotten a coherent response. But let's keep going. It's the double standards for me.
I don't understand Plies or any black person for that matter telling black people to just settle. Just accept whatever the candidate is giving you. Don't ask any questions.
Yeah, but
just
they've been
vote.
doing it.
They don't have to explain anything to us.
They've been doing it for a long time. Even with Biden, when we ask questions to Biden, well, it's the best of two evils. You know what I mean? You got to pick one. But no, if you have questions, people should be able to ask.
Listen,
that's the point of a politician, right? They're supposed to represent us, represent our district, represent our country. Shouldn't we ask?
And by the way, they should be explaining without us asking. That's the whole point of them doing these press conferences and these meetings.
Yeah.
The same way these politicians have meetings for their donors and they have rallies and press conferences explaining themselves and their agendas to certain groups, they should have to explain themselves to black people the same way. Plies is 1,000,000,000% wrong.
I disagree 1,000,000,000%. I do not think Plies is wrong. And he was literally pointing out the double standards. It's always the questioning of black politicians. I'm not just voting for Kamala Harris because she's black, or I'm not just voting for him just because she's black. Nobody ever questions Donald Trump and the people that are running in the Republican Party the same way they question Democrats. The expectations and the standards for Democrats is light years different from the expectations and the standards for Republicans. And let's be crystal clear about that. We always question the black politicians and we want to know, why should I vote for you? I should vote for you just because you're black? I really am failing to understand why there is a level or a certain standards for black politicians than there are for white politicians. That literally is a question that needs to be answered. And here is the thing. I am sure Kamala Harris knows by now that black people would be some of her most critical voters. Black people would critique her, criticize her, and it's never going to be enough. She's not. Some people think that she's not black enough. Some people, like Donald Trump, he has convinced that Kamala Harris just all of a sudden started being black, which is absolutely ridiculous. But these are the things that she has to answer for. Her record as a prosecutor. All the misinformation that has circled around Kamala Harris and her record as a prosecutor has been insane. And people do not care to hear it because whatever is out there, because it's on the internet, it must be true. Kamala Harris was a prosecutor for the state of California. She was in charge of enforcing the law, not changing it. Which is why Kamala Harris ran for the Senate. She wanted to be the one that would change the laws that she saw were unfairly targeting black and brown people. But that's not a conversation that anybody is ready to have. These same people don't even know the record of the prosecutor within their own state. What's the record of the prosecutor or the solicitor in your state? Do you even know? That's a question that needs answered. Most people don't even know that, but they can tell you that answer, what Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor was, according to what they read on the internet. And the way in which her record as a prosecutor got started, the rumors that, or the report that got the false information started is bizarre, but that is a video for another day. So for the people out there that are railing that Kamala Harris needs to be held to this impossible standard while you don't even know who's running in your local elections, I need you guys to have a seat. Like, I really need you guys to take a step back and realize that you are not being serious if you are expecting the presidential candidate to give you all of these things, but you don't know what your governor or your local officials have planned for your city. That's all I'm saying. So if you guys are really going to have a conversation about questioning those that are in office or those that are running for office, you should start locally. Because it takes you like 5 seconds to go to Kamala Harris's website and read her policy positions. The ones past and present, when she was running for president before and when now as she sits as vice president. There's a lot of things that she still believes that are good about the Biden administration, but she wants to take it a step further. So let's have a genuine discussion about Kamala Harris and her policy positions, as well as the people that are running locally. Do yourself a favor and learn about the people that are running in your local elections, because those are the ones that are going to affect you much quicker. Who sits on the city council? Who's running for city council? Do they believe in having affordable homes in your area? Do you know that answer? If you don't, then you're not a serious voter. You're just not. And nobody is going to tell me otherwise. And I am definitely going to be judgmental in that department, because there are a lot of us out there that do our own homework. We find out who's running, not only as president, but we find out who's running locally, what is going to be in our best interest. And let's be very crystal clear. Black voters are some of the most calculated, responsible voters out there, especially black women. We vote on a plethora of issues. We are not just one issue voters. With that being said, I have no doubt that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to make all of her positions clear. She's already made some of it very clear, and as time goes on, she's going to roll them out. I mean, let's give her a moment. She's only been the nominee not even for a week yet. Yes, she's been vice president for 3.5 years, but that is in a supportive role. She's only been running for president now for about a month. So give her some time for these policies to roll out slowly but surely, because I'm sure she's going to have an answer for all of them. She has an answer for now. In the meantime, talk to Donald Trump. Ask him the question. You ran up the deficit by giving the wealthy a tax cut when you were in office. How are you going to ensure that you don't run up the deficit this time? And what are you going to do for the middle class? Because when you were in office, you did nothing for the middle class. The bare minimums, just enough to keep people not even wanting more. Just enough to keep people saying, hey, he said he's going to do it. Let's give him some time. These videos are becoming very heavy. We are in you know what? I'm glad that people are actively engaged and people are paying attention. But if we're going to actively engage and we are going to participate in the process, we really need to be informed and we really need to know what we're talking about. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to comment below. Let me know how you're feeling about the upcoming election and your take on this video and what you just saw. Do not forget to share, like, and subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.